This episode of Your Morning Drive is brought to you by Fireworks Co-working. They are a creative co-working space located in Marietta, Georgia, focused on supporting the local community and uplifting creative entrepreneurs. If you want to try out this beautiful space, this podcast room is just one of the many available rooms and spaces available for you and your company to work at. If you want to try them, you can. Use code DRIVE at checkout and you'll get a free day pass. So, if you're working from home, if you're working at an office that you don't have to go to, if you're tired of working at your kitchen table where you have to listen to your kids or your spouse or the lawn people in the outside cutting the grass and it's too loud for your Zoom meetings. Well, you don't have to worry about that. You can try out Fireworks Co-working in Marietta, Georgia. It's right down the street from Kennestone Hospital. They are the presenting sponsor of Your Morning Drive. They offer me a beautiful space for me to be able to record my podcast with all of the creators, business owners, and other individuals that I get the pleasure of interviewing, and they can be your home too. So either go to the space, tour the place with the staff, tell them Logan Lewis from Your Morning Drive sent you, or if you're booking online, again, use code DRIVE, DRIVE, for a free day pass to try the space. Your Morning Drive is also present to us by Good Days Canned Cocktails. Good Days are a classic cocktail brand created in a convenient, ready-to-drink canned format for any occasion, whether it's a pool day, a boat day, a beach day, a graduation, a wedding, a bar mitzvah, anything in between. Good Days are there for you. Good Days are ahead when they are in your cooler, your fridge, your anything in between. Good Days has your back. If you want to be one of the first to try their drink, you can do so by visiting drinkgooddays.com/pages/find-us to find a store near you selling their drink. Of course, you must be 21 years of age to consume and purchase. Hello, guys. I want to tell you about another friend of my show, Your Light Marketing. If you're a small business owner or an entrepreneur trying to figure out how to stand out in a crowded market, I want to tell you about Your Light Marketing. These guys are all about helping you create a marketing strategy that's true to who you are without pushing you to follow trends or gimmicks that just don't feel right to you. They specialize in helping people build custom growth plans around their unique story and mission. So if you're tired of trying to be like everybody else and you want to attract the right customers, aka people who really resonate with what you're all about, then this is the team to talk to. Go to www.yourlightmarketing.com to book a free strategy session with them. Trust me, they will help you build a plan that feels authentic to you and gets results. Again, that's yourlightmarketing.com to book that free strategy session call with them. Your Light Marketing. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Your Morning Drive. I am Logan. I am your host for today, broadcasting live from the Fireworks Studio in Marietta, Georgia. We are thrilled to have you with us today. If you enjoy what I'm doing here, do me a favor and share it with just one person in your life that might need a little boost to start their day. Maybe it's a coworker, your boss, your ex-girlfriend, your brother, your sister, or your neighbor. Share it with somebody in your life that needs it. You can send them a link on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if they want to just strictly listen. However, if they prefer to watch, we're in full video on YouTube as well. Don't forget to subscribe on those respective platforms. That way you're guaranteed that every episode gets delivered straight to you. You don't need to go searching for it. You just launch your platform of choice and boom, there it is on episode day, which are Friday mornings, by the way, but also Tuesdays when I get backed up to try to catch up because no one likes recording a badass interview and then having to wait a long time, 3 months for it to come out. So, Sometimes we release them on Tuesdays to get a little caught up. So, with that being said, leave a 5-star review on those platforms, Apple Podcasts specifically. I would appreciate that very much. If you want to follow along and stay connected, you can follow on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. Everything is at Your Morning Drive. There you'll find show updates, episode announcements, and fun clips to keep you entertained. Thank you again for joining us today. My guest today is a mom of 4, adoptive parent, and a community organizer dedicated to improving the lives of marginalized children, youth, and families. Her experiences growing up showed her severe impact of government corruption and poverty, instilling in her the importance of speaking and living truthfully. As a court-appointed special advocate, she launched Together for Families, a grassroots effort to prevent, I can't even read tonight,
It's okay.
foster care by addressing poverty-driven family separations. Now a program under Advocates for Children, they support over 180 families, empowering them to thrive and keeping 98% of children with their families. As co-founder and co-executive director, she strives to create a foster care diversion program that provides tools, resources, and community support, allowing families to build safe, stable lives without welfare involvement or family separation. Please welcome my new friend, Sarah Winograd.
Know, we are friends now.
We are friends. This is a lifelong bond.
Oh my gosh.
People leave here and they're like, I think we're best friends now. And I'm like, I love that.
Logan, we have a motto in Together with Families, because now what we co-founded, we had Together for Families at Advocates for Children. And we left to start our own nonprofit. And we'll get into that today. And it's Together with Families, but we have our own motto, and it's that we never say goodbye. And it's partially because we're all very codependent, but also because we meet people like you, Logan, and we don't ever want to say goodbye.
No.
So
why would you ever want to say goodbye?
Exactly. So we're never going to say goodbye.
It makes no sense.
Exactly. So
before we get into the conversation, I just want to note that if you clicked on this and you looked at the description at all, or if you saw the post on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or TikTok, the places you should all go follow, you saw that this is the 400th episode of the podcast. And today I was overwhelmed with just thinking about how exciting that is and how hard work and determination and consistency and just all of the things wrapped up together is the only reason that this podcast is still here. There's a stat out there somewhere that says like 80 to 85% of podcasters quit before the 10th episode is uploaded. And it's true. A lot of people give up because they realize how much work it is, how much time it takes to, you can't just sit down and record. It's not that easy. And I'm not trying to sit here and put myself on a pedestal or anything, but I've worked my ass off for the last several years. This May will be 7 years of doing this bad boy. And this is the 400th episode. So, I want to thank a few people. Of course, I want to thank family for supporting me and putting up with me spamming them with links every week to listen. My wife at home, who is waiting for me to get home right now, as she is every Tuesday and Sunday while I record these bad boys. Fireworks for providing me an amazing space that is full of community and partnership and positivity and a great studio. Good Days for also sponsoring the show. Cheers for having a drink on the show. Get Good Days or sponsor the show. And all the other companies I've had a pleasure of representing, the Patch Boys, Your Light Marketing, Stage Dive, all kinds of amazing organizations that Strong Side also. Just so many really cool people that have believed in me and believed in all of the things that I've been doing the past few years. And, we're doing great. We're having a good time while doing it. And I'm getting to interview amazing people like Sarah. So I'm just really appreciative of everyone who listens, who follows, who clicks, who subscribes, who likes, even if you listen for 30 seconds and that's it, I just really, really, truly appreciate it deep down. So thank you everybody for supporting me over the years, and we'll see you at episode 800. But thank you for listening to my spiel there, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, Logan, I'm so excited that you saved me for episode 400.
I know. I have been.
Yeah.
I've been keeping you in the chamber.
Since day one.
Since day one. I was like, you know what, Sarah, we're waiting for 400.
Yeah. And so I am here and I'm super excited and I hope this is the most popular episode ever.
We're going to make it that.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, I think I found you on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
I think. And, you know, I don't use LinkedIn a lot to find guests, you know, but, you know, every once in a while, someone will share something, you know, someone will like something, you know, LinkedIn is good at that, being like, oh, Sarah liked this, or, you know, Sarah follows who, or something or other. And you got tagged in something, I think. And I thought, this girl's got a story. And I just started reading up, but then I stopped myself because I don't do, as I tell a lot of other people, I don't do a ton of research on you before I sit down with you.
Oh gosh.
Because
you should have done the backstory.
I don't do a ton of research because I want to have just as much fun as the person listening.
Okay.
And I want to ask questions genuinely from the heart. And I mean, of course I do, you know, base level research. Okay, she's a part of this. She participates in this. She's a part of this organization, yada, yada, yada. But for the most part, I try to fly blind, like the people listening. So for the lack of a better way of asking, who is Sarah?
Oh gosh. I feel like I'm like, have you seen the movie Rango?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now I feel like I'm Rango.
You are Ringo.
Oh Lord, I am Rango.
Yep.
Who am Sarah? That's really funny because that's kind of a question that I asked myself at different points along my journey, especially this journey that I took within the child welfare space. And so going a little bit further back, so Sarah, I mean, I was raised in a farm in upstate New York. My dad was a social worker and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And my parents were hippies. So we had a crazy kind of childhood in the sense that my parents were always up for an adventure. Like I was born on a school bus. So my mom completely renovated the school bus and they thought they were going to go around teaching people about the gospel in this school bus. My parents met when they were on drugs. Like,
you were born on a bus?
Yeah, my mom, home birth. I think it was in the newspaper. My mom built out this bus. So that's kind of like the beginning. So you can just imagine where this is going to go.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. I'm strapped in.
Yeah, I mean, my parents were wild and they had adventure. Like they met in a bar and my mom was from Montreal and my dad's Jewish. And anyways, we ended up when I was 11 years old, moving from our farm in upstate New York to Belarus. And at the time, so Belarus is in the former Soviet Union or a part of the former Soviet Union. So this is after the Soviet Union collapsed.
Sure.
So after Perestroika. And we were there and you would wait in long lines at that time for things like bread and cheese. I mean, there was so much poverty and still is in Belarus and so much government oppression. And from the time I was 11 years old until I left Belarus, I left at 17, then went back there, married my husband. That's a whole nother story. I mean, we could be here all night, but I don't know if people want to listen to that.
Right. I'm here as long as you want.
All right. I don't know. I don't know if
I'm here as long as you want. So
yeah,
as long as you know.
I don't know how much. How many of these you have?
A few more.
Story.
Run it.
All right. So anyway, so we lived over in the former Soviet Union and I kind of thinking back, you know, when I was 15 years old, I got into some trouble because there was the opposition against the government. So the Belarusian president is Alexander Lukashenko.
Okay.
And he's considered the last dictatorship in Europe. So he's been there for decades now. And when we were there was a lot of government oppression, kicking people out of university if there was if you said anything against the government, like Logan.
Literally anything.
Logan, people are scared to even say, like, we would be sitting here right now. And if we were in your house and I said, Lukashenko's an asshole. Oh my gosh, now I'm so scared. He's going to hear this. I'm just kidding. But I said, Lukashenko's an asshole. Like, I would never say that. People are scared to say that. They will search your social media. People are scared to say stuff even in their own homes.
Wow. So they are committed to getting rid of anybody who opposes.
Yes. So anything, like my friends would get jailed for social media posts or saying something on Telegram or anything against the government. If you wore the original Belarusian flag, which was not part of the Soviet Union because he's more Soviet, then you could get beaten or jailed for that. So this is the kind of oppression we were living under. And the crazy part is, as a 15-year-old, you would see, your friends getting beaten. They'd go to protests and they'd get beaten for no reason, or they'd just be walking on the street and they would be saying things against the government or giving out pamphlets and they would get arrested. And seeing this as a kid, I remember I thought, my parents were like, you can never go to those protests. Like, we'll get kicked out of the country. And I remember thinking, well, if my friends like are being oppressed like this, and if I'm really a friend, like, I'm going to go to these protests and I'm going to be a part of that. So I did. I got in trouble. They saw some of my parents, because my parents had started a church there. So some of the church people saw me on the news because I was there. I think I was with my husband, who's my husband now, but we were dating at the time. He was throwing rocks at police.
Oh my.
Yeah. I mean, they were not like police, like, we're helping you police. They're like police with a baton, like, I'm going to beat the crap out of you kind of police, And people were even beaten in jail. Like, they would take you to jail, they'd put you on the floor and they just beat you and you'd come out like black and blue. I never had that, but a lot of our friends had that happen to them. So seeing that, I think seeing this kind of government oppression, understanding that, you know what, the government isn't always that. Any government can end up like that.
Yeah.
Any government can end up. We should never assume that a government cannot end up like that. And a government ends up like that when we allow it. And I remember just being 15 years old, and it's a crazy thought, but I thought, well, there's so many people who hate this government. If everybody just uprised against the government, then they wouldn't be able to continue to oppress the people. But people are so scared and so fearful. And so that's kind of my background to the kind of government oppression and the poverty.
It kind of, sorry to cut you off. It kind of just, it almost like angers me to hear about that, because you often hear about people in this country whine and complain about how, they hate this, or they hate the government, or they hate the president, or they hate,
Sure.
And there are literal countries in the world where that shit happens every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you don't even know what you have.
Right.
Like,
but it's a slippery slope, and we have to, I feel like it's a slippery slope with any government. And so anyways, that's kind of my background. My parents, we worked with orphanages there and worked with kids who were orphaned. And I never thought about the kids' parents, because when kids are in orphanages, you just think, oh, well, their parents must have abused them or neglected them. And you're not really thinking that maybe these kids are here because of a poverty issue or some other issue the family's going through. And kind of to make a long story short, ended up coming back to the States actually when I was 17. I finished my senior year of high school without my parents. I was in Colorado with some friends, and then went to UGA, got into UGA. My major.
Go Dogs?
Yeah. My daughter's there. She's actually graduating. I did not graduate. So I started.
You have a daughter that's in college?
Yeah. I have a 21-year-old daughter. So I can get to that part too. Okay, I'm a little bit of a fuck up in some areas. I'll get to that, but it doesn't always have to end that way. But I'll get to that part too. Okay. She's 20. She's 21.
Wow, so she could have a good day.
I'm 23. No. It's a long story, But
wow.
But anyway, so I come back to the States. I, finish my high school diploma here and go to college. I started at UGA, and I had some, traumatic things happen to me. And that was the year of 9/11.
Wow.
And so at that point, I'm like slipping into depression. I'm totally suicidal. Like, I'm just like, I want to kill myself, just because I was so depressed. Like, I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't understand the purpose of life at that point. I was dealing with my own trauma from things that had happened. And so I remember that moment. I was like just sitting I was a freshman. It's after 9/11. I was just sitting in my apartment. My roommates were gone. And I took a few drinks. I was just like, I'm just going to end it. I knew exactly how I was going to end it. Like, I was going to slit my vein. And so I tried. Like, I just tried to see what it would feel like. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I'm going to slit my artery. I'm just going to lay in a bathtub.
Oh my God. You had the plan.
Yeah, I had the plan. I was like, this is how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to go. I felt like I was a burden. There's a series of things that had happened, and I just felt like I was a burden. And just, depression can make you feel like there's no way out. Like there's nothing you can do. There's no way out. And it's a mental torment that makes you feel like, I don't want to live like this anymore. Like, I can't live like this, and I can't continue to endure the mental torment. So that happened. And then my roommate, she was seeing a psychiatrist at UGA, and she says to me, she's like, "Hey, Sarah, you should go see this." I was her, I was like telling her a little bit. She's like, "Go see this psychiatrist," and I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." I saw her. She talked to me a little bit, and I was just totally done. Like, I just wanted to leave UGA. It was like had things happen there. It was like a dark hole for me. Thank God my daughter had a really good experience. Thank God. When she went there, I was like, really? But anyway, so I was like, I just wanted to leave. So I ended up withdrawing, like a medical withdrawal from UGA, and going back to Belarus, where my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, or ex-boyfriend, and we rekindled. Within 3 months, I get pregnant. Okay. So that's my daughter, Eliana. But I say all of this because in that moment of depression and just wanting to die, that's where my purpose was born. And so I was trying to think, like, is there any reason to live? Because for me, it wasn't like I'm going to live for money, because I didn't care about money. It wasn't going to be like I was going to live for stuff, because I didn't care about stuff. Logan, I didn't care about career. I didn't care about anything. I play the piano. I'm a musician. But even that wasn't enough joy to endure the hardships that life would inevitably bring. And so I was just thinking, what is it that could make life worth living? And I remember it was just so clear as day. It was just like, I don't want anybody to have to endure this kind of pain alone. And that was the thing for me. It was like, I want to ensure that nobody has to be alone in their suffering, that people have people, because we're all going to suffer. But the worst feeling is to be completely alone when you're suffering. And so that kind of started my calling, and went back to Belarus, ended up getting pregnant, but ended up married. My husband and I got married and I started a program in Belarus, started going to a cancer hospital for children, and started a program there. And the reason I wanted to go see those kids who had cancer was because they were alone in the hospital and they were suffering, and started a program so that the parents could come in and be with their children, because the parents were struggling with poverty, and oftentimes they were separated from their kids because they had to work. And kind of started my mission in that kind of arena, and moved back to the States with my husband. He took the United States medical licensing exam, became a doctor here, and I started school again to finish my degree. And this time it was in psychology. And it's kind of funny because, I just got the Alumni of the Year at Impact Award at KSU.
Congratulations, by the way, again.
I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I paid a lot of money to get that, but it's like a really great achievement still, But I remember just starting at Kennesaw and just thinking of having so much shame of like, okay, I don't want to tell anybody that I had started out at UGA, and then I left after a semester, and feeling like, oh man, sometimes when you have these things, or that I had my daughter when I was like 19 years old, and I was starting at KSU. There were adult students, but I was with these other students who didn't have kids, and here I have a kid, and so feeling like that shame of just kind of failures, things that you felt are failures. And so I'm just saying this right now, just because I feel like those failures are the stepping stones to our success.
Yeah.
And I am so grateful for every single one of my failures, because I would never be the person I am today, would never be able to do what I'm doing today if it wasn't for those failures. So if you're failing, use those as the bricks to build whatever you need to build, with people and for people, because those failures can be where your strength lies.
Wow.
Are we done now?
No, just kidding. You know what's crazy is I knew you were going to say that shit. I knew it. I was thinking that you were going to just say like something like mic drop and are we done? Is that it? Is that a wrap?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's so crazy.
That's funny.
Dude,
now
wow.
You're already reading my mind.
Dude.
Wow.
I know. Hey.
Logan, you're like a psychic.
I know. It's almost like we're connected,
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Goodness gracious, man. I mean, so you're going to laugh. Out of all the things I could ask, what language do they speak in Belarus? Russian?
That's a great question. They do speak Russian. They speak some Belarusian, but pretty much everything's in Russian.
Can you speak it?
Yeah, of course. Вы говорите по-русски. Я разговариваю по-русски. Что вы хотите? We can just do this whole thing in Russian. No,
do it. Just do the rest.
Okay.
All right.
Потом, после этого, что было после этого? Now I don't know. Are there any Russian viewers? Are you gonna get a whole new? Oh my gosh!
Oh my God! I could be the most popular podcast in Russia.
You could end.
There's worse things to be.
Yeah, and then I could end up not being able to drink my tea because it'll be poisoned. You hear that Russians do that, right?
They put poison tea.
Yeah.
Really?
Navali? Like that's how they kill people. Or you just like fall off your balcony.
You would just need to make sure every drink you have for the rest of your life you see poured into. But even then, I mean, what if they poison the barrel?
I'm telling you, it's one of the worst places for journalists, Russia.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. The government's horrible. Now try to kill me.
Wow.
Did I just
What did you say in Russian just then?
Did I just taunt them?
Maybe.
I think so.
Hey, you know what? That'd be kind of a fun ride in 2025 to run from Russia.
Kill me?
Oh, well, I assume if they try to kill you, they would also come for me because I'm also here in the room.
You're like an enabler.
Yeah. Yeah. They'd be like, well, she's got to go, but he's got to go too.
Yeah. You are an enabler.
That'd be a crazy story.
That would
Podcaster taunts Russia. Russians assassinate him. Because I'm the person they want to assassinate.
I hope so.
Well, better me than you.
That's what I was thinking.
So what did you say in Russian just then?
I just said, what did I say? I was saying, what should I say next? What's the rest of the story?
Wow. Mm-hmm. I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't even know what to ask you next. I have all these bullets. I guess we are done.
Yeah.
You're done?
So.
Ready?
Yeah, we can. Can we just have a few more drinks though?
Yeah, we can keep going on the good days. Okay. Shouts to Jason.
This is really good.
Is it?
Yeah, I've never had this before, but I'll have it again.
They have been on the market since March. Okay. So they're fairly new. And local guys. One of them is from Athens. The other one lives in Marietta. Okay. The two co-founders, that is. And they're killing it. One of them, Matt, he's up in Athens doing all kinds of things with UGA to try to boost the visibility. And then we got Jason down here that's doing all kinds of stuff with KSU also. They're the official canned cocktail of Kennesaw State University.
They should have my daughter be a model for Good Days.
Okay.
I don't know if she would, but she
Does she like to drink?
I mean, she was a bartender.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah. But I actually worked, when I was in Athens, I worked at the Grill. I worked the night shift at the Grill.
Really?
Yeah. You know the Grill, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
So back in the day, people would wait in line after, like the UGA games, and they would wait in line to come in, and they would like pay us if we were hosting to, we would pay them, they would pay us to like come ahead.
Sure.
And one of the crazy things, I don't know if they still do this at the Grill, so maybe one of your viewers can let us know. Yeah. But one of the crazy things we did, if somebody didn't pay, we would chase them down and steal their wallet and hold it at the cash register. I don't know if they still do that.
That's insane. And I hope they still do that. That's incredible. Someone needs to confirm that.
Please confirm that. But when I was there, this was year of 9/11.
What, 2001, 2002?
Yeah. So when I was there, that's what we did. We would chase them down. We would take their wallet. We would confiscate it until they would come back in the morning, and then they'd have to pay their bill. So we'd put their bill next to their wallet. Because, people would come in drunk after the games and they'd forget to pay their bill.
Wow.
So it was like ransom.
One of my buddies graduated from there probably about 6 or 7 years ago. I'm gonna clip this and I'm gonna send it to him and I'm gonna be like, yo, dude, did this happen?
Yeah.
And he might be like, yeah, they still do it to this day.
I think they should. I mean,
that's insane.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
So what's life like in Russia? I mean,
in Belarus,
Belarus,
which is former Soviet Republic.
Yeah. So now Belarus, is it its own country?
It is its own country, and it was its own country, but it's very connected to Russia, so it has a union with Russia.
Okay, so Russia is over Belarus.
Yeah, it's a very we have friends and family we've had to kind of help escape the country.
Yeah,
my husband will never go back. I'll never go back.
Wow.
It's not safe.
Yeah.
I mean,
not safe in what, because of the government corruption, or just because
they might frame you. They might say you're an American. We're going to frame you and put you in jail for no reason, and then you just rot in jail, and then eventually you die of a heart attack or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Not safe at all.
So I assume that
it's not safe if you don't comply with if you've said anything against the government, done anything against the government. It's not a safe place, and so a lot of the youth have left.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I assume I assume the whole conflict over there right now is very unpopular then.
So the conflict with Ukraine, the people, I mean, there's mixed, right? the people,
like every war, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's super mixed, but the Belarusian people are a little bit more docile than Ukrainians.
Sure.
And, the Ukrainians actually had a revolution, the Orange Revolution, where they got rid of kind of the Russian influence. And then Russia kept poking in and being like, no, we're going to we don't want you to have the European influence. So
that's insane.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a political science major, but I lived over there, so I've lived experience.
I was going to say, we don't normally touch on world events, but I mean,
I don't know. Now,
if the shoe fits.
Friedman's podcast, and I don't know.
That's okay.
Jared Kushner.
Hey, that's all right.
Yeah.
I feel like I know that name. Isn't that Trump's son-in-law?
Yeah.
Jared Kushner. That's a name I haven't heard in a minute. Probably start hearing it again, honestly. Who knows? I haven't seen his face in a while. Is he okay? Is he dead? Where is he?
No, he's okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all of that. I mean, okay. So you you graduate from Kennesaw. Yes. And what year is that?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. What year did I graduate? 2011.
Okay, gotcha. Mm-hmm. So you graduated from Kennesaw when I was a sophomore in high school. So that's fun. Oh my
gosh, you're a baby.
I guess.
Wow. All these little kids.
How old do I look? Do I look like I'm in my 30s?
Oh yeah, you look like you're in your 30s.
Okay, I'm 28.
For sure. You're 28?
28.
Okay, see? You look like you're in your 30s.
If I shave, I look 15.
I feel like it's the beard.
It is the beard. And the hairline. That doesn't help.
Well, I think the beard always makes people look like they're more mature than they are.
I like that.
So you're definitely not as mature as I thought you were.
I'm an insanely immature person, so I'll take that.
Yeah, that's why you have to have the beard.
If I didn't have the beard, I'd be doomed.
I feel like you would.
Anytime I do shave the beard, it's just like, oh, why do you exist?
Yeah. I feel like you should keep the beard, especially if you want to have a legit podcast.
Yeah,
and interview people like me.
You know that stat that I said 80% of podcasts fail? There's another stat that says all those podcasts that do fail, 100% of the hosts don't have a beard.
No way, whatever.
That's I just made that up.
Yeah. I figured
jokes.
Yeah. Sounds like something someone would make up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone with a beard.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you finished school, and what's the immediate move?
So actually, while I was in school, I was doing a lot of work with Stand Up for Kids. So those working with youth who were homeless on the streets of Atlanta. And at the time, we had a center in downtown Atlanta where we would go. I was an outreach counselor and a volunteer coordinator, and we would go on the streets and we would go talk to youth and find those youth who were experiencing homelessness and bring them back to our center and try to help them find safety and be self-sufficient or whatever they needed. And what I learned was a lot of those youth had aged out of foster care or who had run away from foster care. And so this was my first time, Logan, because I wasn't raised in the States. And so this was my first time learning about America's foster care system. I knew that Russia's orphanage system and foster care system, it's not really a foster care system, it's more of an orphanage system. I knew that it was really messed up because I just assumed the great and wonderful America, we have a good foster care system because we have money. And so I'm hearing from these youth about how they are taken from a family that might be struggling or that maybe was abusive or was neglectful in some way, and then they're put into a foster care system that is abusive and neglectful, and that they choose to run away from that, and they figure that it's safer on the streets, and they have to take care of themselves. But we know that within 48 hours of being on the streets, youth will engage in something illegal in order to survive.
48 hours?
Within 48 hours. So you have to catch them within 48 hours.
Wow.
And usually those things that are illegal is survival sex. So a lot of youth who are on the streets are engaging in survival sex. And I say that, I don't call it prostitution formally. Like there are kids who get caught up in sex trafficking, but survival sex is kind of like going to a bar and you have no place to sleep and finding a guy who's going to let you crash at his place in exchange for sex. Or
survival sex.
Yeah.
Like
you'd have sex in order to survive. It's like, there's women who are, you say a gold digger, like she's having sex so that she can get a diamond ring. I don't know.
Same thing, but for survival.
Yeah, but same thing.
Like, hey, I'll feed you for 3 nights if every night you.
Yes.
Wow,
exactly.
That's horrifying.
Horrifying. And you're talking about youth who have already been through so much trauma now and deciding.
And these are kids.
They're kids that it's going to be safer on the streets if they take care of themselves than if the Division of Family Children Services takes care of them.
I know nothing about the America foster care system.
Oh, you'll get an education today.
I'm thankful for that because I know nothing about it. And
Okay.
wow, the fact that they would feel that they are safer out on the streets than in the system is just a testament to what it is like.
Well, there's a lot of data that shows that 40% that children who are in foster care have a 40% more likelihood of dying than children in the general public. So there's a few things that you have to consider when you take a child away from their family. First is that is extremely traumatic. Whether the child is experiencing some sort of hardship with their parent, most parents who lose their kids to foster care are not monsters. So most parents are like you and me, only they're struggling with poverty and oftentimes trauma and other generational things. So things that are passed down. So for instance, some of them were in foster care themselves and are struggling to raise their own kid. But we know that 80% of them are living 200% below the poverty line. 80% of families who are investigated by Child Protective Services live 200% below the poverty line. And what does poverty mean? I'm talking about, and I can get into more of my story, but talking about like my time with depression, and I've had issues with anxiety in my life. And these are issues when you have money, you can go see a counselor, you can see a psychiatrist.
Have you seen those
bills?
Yeah.
How much they cost?
As somebody who goes to therapy.
Okay, there you go.
With the last time I went, she was like, oh, by the way, after January 1st, my rate's going up to $100 a session. I was like, oh, great.
That's even not so bad. 120, go see a psychiatrist, $300. Well, if you're working at Quick Trip and you're making $14 an hour,
right.
You can't.
How are you going to afford that?
How can you afford that? But here's another thing that we don't consider. Families who are living under chronic stress are more likely to experience these mental health struggles.
Yeah.
So Logan, if I said to you, here, take your normal life. I'm sure it's stressful. Everybody has a stressful life, right? We like that kind of. But I'm going to take your normal life and I'm going to say, but I'm going to cut the amount of money you make and you're going to struggle to afford food and housing. Okay, so just take your normal stress level now. Yeah. Think of your normal stress level, but now you can't even afford food for your family and housing. What do you think that's going to do to your mental health?
Destroy it.
There you go. So then it's so crazy because the Child Protective Services comes in and they see a mom who can't afford housing because I'm sorry, you can't afford housing anymore on a minimum wage job or even on a $14, $15, $20 an hour job in Cobb County. You're not going to be able to afford housing. And so you have a mom who can't afford housing, who's sitting on the streets with her kids and who doesn't know what to do. And she's having these panic attacks, losing her mind. And what are we going to do? We're going to take the kids from her, put them in foster care. Well, what's that going to do? And we're going to say, oh, we took it either because of housing or we're going to say because of mental health. Well, her mental health might have been caused because of that poverty issue, right? That can be a cause of having a mental health issue. We know for people who are middle class and even upper middle class, that money is one of the number one stressors. We know that divorce, one of the reasons for divorce is money. And so it's crazy that we don't think that people who are living in poverty might have a hell of a lot more stress, more mental health issues because of that stress, and that if we don't address poverty, then we're really not solving any of the issues. So what Child Protective Services will do is they'll see that mom and what they can do for her. This is what people don't know. They can offer her counseling. They can offer her a parenting class. Maybe she started drinking because, right, she can't handle everything, right? She's having these panic attacks. She can't sleep. So she's going to drink to sleep. So they'll offer her something for substance abuse. Well, they have nothing to offer her for housing, for food. They're just going to refer her to community agencies. But what do we know about our community agencies? They're overflowing. They don't have capacity. So then what do? They say, oh, well, we gave her our services, Child Protective Services. We gave her our services. We gave her parent. Let's just be honest. What the fuck does she need with a parenting class when she's homeless on the street? Right. You can't think about parenting.
Yeah, what are you going to teach me?
When you're homeless on the street and you have no food and housing, you don't even have the mental capacity to learn a new skill. Even if you needed a parenting class, that is just not the time and place.
Imagine going up to a homeless lady with 3 kids trailing behind her and say, hey, you know what? We should work on your parenting skills.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Or even
it sounds idiotic.
It sounds idiotic. Or imagine this. You see somebody drowning and they're drowning in the ocean. And you, Logan, you're sitting on the shore and you have a boat and you could wheel the boat in, you could put them in the boat. And instead you scream from shore and you say, one arm over the other. We know that, right? Like you're telling them, trying to teach them how to swim while they're drowning. And then you just watch them drown. But what we actually do, this is what we do. We see a family drowning at no fault of their own, oftentimes. No fault of their own, things that happen to them, circumstances that they were born into, lack of opportunity, at no fault of their own. We see them drown. And I'm not saying there's no personal responsibility. I'm saying that we all mess up. We all do shit. But they had way worse shit happen to them, way more things oftentimes, and way less opportunities to get better. So we see them drowning. And what we do is we row up on the boat and they're with their 3 kids. It's a mom with her 3 kids and she's drowning. And she's like, help me, help me, help me. And what we do is we grab the kids, we put them on the boat, and they're watching their mom drown. And they're like, get my mom, crying, screaming because they're separated from them, get my mom. And they're like, here, you got to learn how to swim. Learn how to swim. And if you can learn how to swim to shore, then you can come get your kids.
It's like a fat guy being like, I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah.
And the doctor being like, well, you should stop eating. And it's like,
kind of,
no shit.
Yeah, no shit.
I'm drowning. Oh, this is how to swim. Oh, no way, buddy.
Exactly. Like a person who's struggling with obesity and then now having a heart attack, we're not going to give him a diet plan, right? We're going to address the heart attack and then give the diet plan. So,
which I feel I was talking to another guest about this a few months ago, and they were saying the biggest problem with our medical system is that first and foremost, all they want to do is address take this with a grain of salt. All they want to do is address the problem and give you a pill to make it go away. They don't want to dive into the issue itself. How can you get around it? What can you do to prevent it? Here's a plan in place that we can do. But here's just a pill that you can take for three days, 3 days a week, twice a day. And after that, the issue will go away.
So my husband's a doctor. So you're talking to this doctor's wife, and I cannot agree more. Yeah. So our industry, our medical system is driven by money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a moneymaker. If one day they decided to launch which I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I'm convinced that the cure to cancer is out there. But if they had the cure to cancer, think of all that money that would go away to chemo treatment.
But the pharmaceutical companies would be making it. So I don't think there's a cure to cancer.
That's true.
But I do know that it's driven by money. So just like all aspects. So the medical industry, right? They're not going to, whatever gets paid. Yeah. So if that pill gets paid, if that time gets paid, whatever gets paid. And unfortunately, our families also can't afford medical care. And we don't take that into consideration. We don't think about that. We don't think about the person who's working at Kroger and can't afford medical care. That impacts our economy. It impacts everything. So I was just talking to one of our moms who works at Home Depot, and she said, listen, Home Depot, she said that there were a bunch of employees sleeping in their cars because they couldn't afford housing. And then going to work at Home Depot.
You know what's crazy?
This is right here in Cobb County.
That's insane. I saw a clip the other day, actually. It might have been on TikTok, of the CEO of some mega company that we all know. I forget what the company is. It was either, I don't want to paint anybody in a light that they weren't in. So it was a massive company. And they were grilling the CEO for making, $75 million a year. And they were like, he was in the, what do you call it when they're being grilled by Congress? What is that called? Like when they're
he was testifying?
Reporting to a grand jury or something. I don't know what it is, okay. But either way, he's being grilled by people in government.
Right.
And they're like, buddy, you make $75 million a year. Your employees can't afford food.
Right.
What's going on? And he was just like, and his answer was, even as a guy, I was raised on your work will put you everywhere.
Sure.
And even as a guy who doesn't like to make excuses and doesn't like to think of excuses, was like, oh my God. He said something like, he was like, well, I didn't put them there. I didn't do that.
I think we forget as a society that we all kind of belong to each other, and it impacts all of us.
Yeah.
And so when we live in this kind of very non-altruistic way where we try to get as much as we can for ourselves, stack it up as much as we can so that our kids and our grandkids and everybody can have it, then what we're actually doing is we're harming our community and then ultimately harming the community that our children will live in. So when we have families who are sleeping on the street and children who are in foster care, and by the way, foster care is expensive. It's not a cheap intervention. It's a very, 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 very expensive intervention. And it has some of the worst outcomes out of any. I mean, the crazy part is $32,000 a year to keep one child in foster care, $32,000 a year. Think about that for a minute. Most families that end up with their kids in foster care have between 2 and 3 kids. That's the average. So some have 5, some have 1, but between 2 or 3. So now you're talking.
That's like 80 grand, 90 grand.
A year. Kids in Cobb County stay on average about 18 to 19 months. So you're talking over $100,000 to keep these kids in foster care. Now here's the interesting part. Out of these kids, you'll have between 40 to 50% that will go back home to their parents. Oftentimes their parents are still struggling the same way they were struggling before. They just white knuckled it to get their kids back oftentimes. Then you have about 20 to 25 will go to a relative. So still about 70% of the kids are still going to go home. And oftentimes the families are no better than when they were taken. And I know this because I've seen this over and over again. And what happens to the families is they learn you don't tell shit to anybody. You don't tell shit to anyone. If you're having a problem in your life, if you're having a crisis in your life, don't tell it to anybody. Telling the kids, don't talk to the social worker about the shit that we have going on, that dad's depressed and he's drinking himself to sleep. Don't talk about the domestic violence. Don't talk about these things. And what happens is these challenges that every family can go through end up turning into crises and end up turning into child abuse and neglect. So child abuse and neglect is totally preventable. Like I said, most people are not monsters. The monsters you see on TV that you hear about,
that's very few and far between.
That's rare. Most of the people that are ending up in the child welfare system are parents who love their kids and they're struggling. And they usually poverty in addition to something. So there's co-occurring. So poverty in addition to a mental health. I'm sorry, if you're homeless, there's no way you can't be suffering with mental health issue. My husband's a doctor. I live in a big house. I mean, I got mental issues. Like, come on. I mean, people, that's impossible. Life is challenging no matter what. Yeah. But when you can't afford your basic needs, life is impossible.
Yeah. You said something that piques my interest that I haven't really, this just goes to show you, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I know very little about all of this, very little, which I'm very thankful that you're here to teach me and to teach other people about it. But so when a kid is in foster care, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were left on the front porch in a basket.
Nope.
So if I, as a father, thought, you know what, I am in the shittiest of shit places. I can't afford to give my kid the best life that I possibly can. I can send them to foster care, or is it the kid's decision?
So what happens usually, there's many reasons why a kid will end up in foster care. So about 14% of the cases, I believe right now I can look at the new data, but 14% of the cases are related to abuse. Okay. And even those cases, those 14% of the cases that are related to abuse, we're not usually talking about some sociopath. Usually we're talking about a parent who's under an enormous amount of stress, who doesn't know how to parent, who loses their shit or who's losing their shit. And I'm not saying excusing that. They need help. But we're still not oftentimes talking about some monster. Now, kids do need to be protected who are being abused. So that's 14% of the cases. And so you have about 20% of the cases that kids are being removed because of a housing issue. You have what we call neglect. Now, the issue with calling everything neglect, legally what neglect is let's say you're strung out on drugs or you're just a complete don't hate your kids and you are withholding. You have food, you're eating it, but you're withholding it from your kids, or that would be neglect.
I can't even I'm not a parent yet, but I can't even imagine, just even separated from all of this, just that statement.
Okay, so
like
those are
withholding food
right.
from.
So that's a very sick person, right?
Insane.
A very sick parent. So 40%, 47%, we have about close to 50% are neglect cases. Now the problem is we call poverty neglect. So neglect is you having food and choosing to withhold it from your child. Neglect is not you not having food, trying to seek out food, and your kid not eating. Unfortunately, what happens is the manifestations of poverty are conflated with neglect. So or nobody gives a fucking damn that this mom went out and tried to get as much food as she could. That's not neglect. If the mom is seeking out food, if the
Do you need to get
looking,
that?
no. If the mom is seeking out food, if she's looking for resources, that's not neglect. It's not neglect if the mom can't find housing. And unfortunately, we conflate the two. We do it on purpose because we feel bad for the kids and because the system, and we do it on accident. So we do it both. We say, "Oh, this kid doesn't have food." It's understandable if a parent has food and withholding it. If a parent is looking for food, if a parent is looking for housing, if they're doing everything they can but they can't afford it and they're not meeting it, that is not neglect. But unfortunately, we have a vast amount of kids who are entering into poverty. Nationally, 67% of kids who enter into poverty, I believe it's 67, are entering because of neglect. And a vast majority of those are poverty related neglect. They're not even real neglect. The parents are seeking out support. They try to charge people with medical neglect. They'll be like, "Oh, that's medical neglect," because a mom had a special needs kid and she's trying to get the kid the support that the child needs, but she can't afford the care, or she can't afford the transportation, or she can't afford it. That's not medical neglect. Medical neglect is somebody saying, "Hey, here's chemotherapy for your child, and I'm going to give it to your child for free or whatever, and I'm going to pick up your child every day to go to chemotherapy," and you're saying, "No, I don't want my child to have chemotherapy." That's medical neglect. But what we're saying is a mom who's experiencing homelessness and has a child who's on a trach because she can't afford housing, because she can't work, because she's taking care of the child, and now she's not providing the basic needs for this child. She's not managing to get the child to the medical appointments, and all of a sudden that's medical neglect. Honestly, that is not only it's unjust, but it's like should be illegal. The legal system shouldn't be allowed to call things neglect that are not truly neglect. Right?
Right.
But they are. And the reason they are, like I said, is because there's this money that flows from the federal government. It's called Title IV funding, and it's all geared towards foster care. And so you only have access to this money. So, we call it room and board when we pay a foster parent. We're paying for room and board. So we're taking children from loving parents and we're taking them who need housing and we're putting them in the home of a stranger who doesn't love them. And let me tell you something, not all foster parents are altruistic. Let's just be honest. Some people are doing it for the money. Some people's like, ching, got another one. That's just the reality. There's altruistic people. There's people who are doing it for adoption. There's many, many reasons why people foster. And there's wonderful foster parents who it's their calling. But there's also a lot of people who are doing it for other reasons. And even if the child ended up in a wonderful foster home, who they're just there for the kid and they're altruistic, which there's many of them. Even if they did, they want to be with their parent if their parent was loving. You're causing an enormous amount. There is almost no way to measure the kind of trauma. Do you have kids, Logan?
I do not.
Okay, so maybe you can't understand it yet.
Not yet.
But
working on it.
Okay, working on it. But here's the thing. Just imagine having a child or just imagine being a child. You had parents, I assume?
I have parents.
Okay. Do you like them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We'll use that example then.
Yes.
So imagine being a kid and you're living with your parents, they're not perfect, but you love them. And somebody comes because your parents are struggling and they're struggling to meet your basic needs, but you love them and they love you. They're not perfect. And they come and they take you from your parents and they put you into this home, the stranger's home, who they have their own kids, who they love. You're the foster kid. All of a sudden, one day you become a foster kid. You're like, what the hell is a foster kid? And you know what? That's kind of like, you go to school and you're a foster kid. Like, that's not something you're like excited about or proud of, something you're embarrassed with, right? Oftentimes kids who are in foster care, they're marginalized oftentimes. And so you all of a sudden become this foster kid. So you almost don't even know where you belong. Like, do you even belong? And you miss your parents and you're wondering how your parents are. And maybe they get a call. Maybe that foster parent is nice. Maybe they're not nice. But either way, you want to go home to your parents. So if you're 14 years old, you might run away to go home to your parents. And then you're just going to be called what? You're a problem child. You're a runaway. Maybe they'll institutionalize you. Probably they would institutionalize you. I could see you being like a problem child in foster care. You'd be like, run away. Yeah, you'd run away.
I don't know if I would, though. I'm kind of a little bitch.
You'd just be a bitch. So then you'd end up institutionalized. So you'd be on a lot of medication. They like medicate you, like to subdue you.
Tons of medication.
Yeah, well, foster kids are over medicated too. Because why? Crazy thing. You know, the more medication, the more diagnoses you give these kids, the more money the foster parent's going to make. And the easier it is kind of to take care of them. Like you have an over-medicated kid, like just go to your room. Here's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, go and eat it. And that's what I was seeing. Talking about I became a court-appointed special advocate. And that's what I was seeing in foster care. And I was like, this is so fucked up. This is such a fucked up system. How can you have 5 miles away a mom who loves her kid, who never abused her kid, who never neglected her kid, but who's struggling with poverty, doing the best she can with a 9th grade education? She's over here and we're paying for her 4 boys over $100,000 a year to keep them in foster care.
Makes
what
no
the
sense.
fuck is wrong? And then
why don't they just give that mom $100,000?
Exactly. Or even a percentage of it.
Figure it out.
Or even a percentage of it. Yeah. And then here's the thing. I'm like, okay, if the government was actually good at raising kids, they suck. So they're worse than the poorest family living in the worst area of town. They are the worst parents. The government will tell you there is no worse parent than the government. They are neglectful. They are horrible. They have turnover, like case managers turnover. They're barely ever fully staffed. The kids move around. People don't know what's happening with the kids. It's an overrun system. They are the worst parent and they have the worst outcomes. What are our graduation rates in Georgia for kids who are in foster care? I don't know. I think it's like 16, 17% graduation from high school. Kids who are going to graduate college, we're talking about like 3%. We have kids who are getting adopted, who are teenagers, who are ending up, 25% of them ending up back in foster care because adoptive parents are like, no, thank you, pushing them back into the system. Over and over, traumatizing these children who they came from homes maybe that weren't perfect, that weren't the best, but if we had supported them and helped them, they could have been good enough. And so I have this idea, I'm like, there is good enough parenting because the government's the worst parenting. So if you have the alternative, government being your parent, because you know what they even call? The government even calls them like themselves the parent. They are legally responsible for the kid. When a child is in the custody of the state, they are legally responsible for the kid. But if they were held to the same standard that they hold parents, the whole system would be blown up because they don't hold themselves to the same standard that they're holding the parents who their children are in foster care. They don't hold themselves to that standard at all. The kids are being moved around. 50% siblings, 50% of the children who are in foster care who have siblings are separated from their siblings. So we're ripping families and relationships apart piece by piece. And what ends up happening? You have kids who don't know how to form relationships or who are so scared of abandonment or who reject people because they don't want to be rejected, and they have to overcome these issues that they didn't need to have to overcome. They have to overcome all these issues that the government is imposing on them, that if they would have just helped their parents, they would have never had to have this extra trauma. They had the trauma. Living in poverty is hard and it's traumatic. They had that trauma. They had that trauma of maybe being unhoused. They had that trauma of having a stressed out mom or dad. They had that trauma. But now we just gave them a whole new, brand new trauma that has the worst outcomes, because I feel like it just undermines everything. When you take a kid from their parent, it undermines your whole world. It's like you think when you're growing up, you're like, well, at least I got my parents, or at least I got my mom, or at least I got my dad. If you can't even say that you can't even count on your parents, it undermines everything. And that's what we do, even when parents are good enough, instead of supporting them. The end.
Wow. I think anybody listening can tell that Sarah knows more about this subject than I think anybody knows about anything. I mean, you can tell deeply. The passion.
Oh, it makes me so mad.
I used to think I was passionate about stuff.
Logan, let me tell you, the first kid. So after I worked at Stand Up for Kids and I learned about the system, we adopted our son. Mm-hmm. And we adopted him from Russia, and he has cerebral palsy and special needs. And so I thought this was my idea. When I was working with those kids who were experiencing homelessness, I did everything I can pour in my life. And I was like, oh my gosh, all this trauma, you can't press rewind and re-record. And oftentimes these kids, what they would do, they'd go back to their parents. But now you broke that relationship and you didn't help the parent heal. So now there's friction. And so that desire to belong, be with their parent, oftentimes it doesn't end up that way because you have two very traumatized people who never got the help they need, just added trauma on top of trauma. And now there's friction. And so I thought, the best way to help these kids would be to adopt a child and ensure that the child belongs and is part of my family. So we adopted our son from Russia, and I got his whole court history the last day when we adopted him. And so it's all of his history about his family, about his parents and everything like that. He had been in an orphanage for kids with special needs. They were going to institutionalize him. It was a horrible situation. So I get the court and I'm reading through it, and I just remember, Logan, this is before I had started working with parents. So this is over 12 years ago. And I start reading it, and I'm just start crying, and I realize, so his mom lived in an orphanage. She aged out of an orphanage. His dad lived in an orphanage. He aged out of an orphanage. They try to get together. They try to have a family. All this trauma, no support, no help. Alcohol, social services comes in, takes her kids when he's 3 years old, takes him and his sister. So he was with his sister at the time, who was 6 years old, and he was disabled, and he was 3 years old. And they take them from the mom. And of course, the mom at this point is defeated. So she signs over her rights because she's just like, when you're in that situation, you feel like you're not good enough. A lot of parents end up believing they're not good enough, and they sign away their rights, or they just get them terminated. And so take the kids, and they separated the kids. Well, what happened when they separated, they put our son into an orphanage with kids with disabilities and his sister into an orphanage with typical kids because she was typical. Well, they thought she was mute. The trauma of just being separated from her mom, she didn't speak. So we adopted our son when he was 9 years old. She ended up getting adopted by a Russian family later on. They went to the orphanage and they adopted her. And so we find this out later on. But they said she wasn't speaking at all. Everyone thought she was mute. And when she came, they helped her heal. And she's now went to university and everything like that. But it was just this trauma. And here's the crazy part. I see this court record, and I see like this family just destroyed, it was just this generational destruction of family, like one generation after another generation of destruction. Like, where's the healing? Where are we coming in and trying to provide healing and help for people who need it? And I was bawling because his parents were the kids that I was helping on the streets. They were kids who had aged out, and I knew them, and I had fallen in love with them. I knew they weren't bad people. They were kids who were struggling, right? Even if they were engaged in drugs, or they had done something illegal to survive, or they had engaged in survival sex to survive, they weren't bad people. They were good people with bad circumstances who were doing the best they could. And so it broke my heart at that point, and I had so much empathy for his mother and his family, and my heart just broke, and I wanted to find her because I wanted to just at least let her know, like, he's okay, and you're loved, and you shouldn't feel shame. And so I started looking for her and looking for his family. And, we learned that, and I have permission to share this because I wouldn't share this if I didn't, but, that his father had passed away, and I found his mom, and she was homeless at the time, and horrible situation. Won't talk about that, but found his sister. And the crazy thing was, we found a sister. I found her on the Russian social media site. And I wrote to her and I said, hey, we adopted Jan Babayevsky, and his name was Jan Terentiev. And I believe he's your brother, because everything matched up with the court documents. And there was no reply at first. Then a few days later, her adopted parents replied, and they're like, "Who are you? What do you want?" And I explained. She had been bawling and crying. So she had been all this time suppressing this because she had taken care of her brother when she was like 6 years old before she was taken. And this whole time she was worried about her brother. And nobody gave a shit about that. And we do the same thing here in America. Nobody gave a shit that he's in this orphan, that these are relationships that people value, that breaking apart these relationships can kill people, cause people to be mute, cause people an enormous amount of trauma. So they tear this relationship apart. So we got the kids back together, and oh my gosh, it was the best thing seeing them meet each other. I mean, they both were bawling. And there's pictures of them. We found pictures of them. We have pictures of them when they were living with their mom, and now pictures of them together. And it was just like, and our son, he looked at her and he's like, wow, it's crazy. Like, he doesn't remember her, but she remembers him. It's crazy. He's like, I have such an amazing sister. Like, it just made him feel good that he had this he said he had always thought that his mom was a witch. Because in the orphanage, they talked about how horrible his family was. So he's like, I always imagined her as a witch. And when we showed her his picture and we connected with her, he's like, she looks so normal. It's like, yeah, she is. And his sister. And so that's so important. And what we do is we create this scenario where there's these good guys and these bad guys. And the parents are the bad guys, and the foster parents and adoptive parents are the good guys. And it's just not the truth. It's just not the truth. Parents aren't the bad guys oftentimes. Even if their kids went through horrific things with them, they're oftentimes not the bad guys. They're just hurting people. And they're people who are suffering and need help. And unfortunately, instead of giving them help, we marginalize them. And that's why one of our taglines for Together with Families is just help, because what we do is just help families. We just help families in the way that they need. The way that, Logan, if something, God forbid, happened to you, we would help you too. But it's just, we all need help sometimes.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing for families in order to keep them together and prevent child welfare involvement. When I was at CASA, so I said, the first kid I went to, I remember it was my first case. And I still tell this story the same way because it was so impactful for me. I had the case in a manila folder, and it was a family. And I'm very intense. You can't tell. I'm super laid back. Happy-go-lucky.
Very easygoing.
Easygoing.
Well, I mean, I'd say you're easygoing.
I would say no.
No?
No, I'm like easygoing in certain things, but in other things, I'm very intense. And
for sure.
And
you have to be, though.
Yeah. So I get this manila folder, and it's this case, and it's with these 4 boys and this family. And I couldn't wait till I got home to read it. So I'm sitting in the car, and I'm just going through the papers. And this is my first case, so I don't know yet what to expect, right? I'm here to protect kids, to make sure they have a permanent, safe, and loving home, right? I don't know I had been trained as a CASA, and I had really good training as a CASA, but still, it's your first case, like nothing like experience. So I'm going through this, and I'm looking through this case, and I'm like, where's the point where the mom like beats her kid? Or where's the point where the mom locks her kid in a closet with duct tape? Like, where's the point where the mom neglected or abused her kid? I couldn't find it. And then I find the kids. They'd been in foster care for 1.5 years. The oldest had moved 5 times, allegations of sexual abuse in one of the homes, and that his mental health is deteriorating. The crazy part was they put inadequate housing as a reason and educational neglect because mom hadn't had the kids enrolled in school. Why? Which is bullshit. Educational neglect is often bullshit. Because if you're struggling with housing, oftentimes, families who are struggling with housing might not enroll their kids in school because they're moving around so much between places and it's too stressful for the kid. So it's actually in a way to protect their kids. So educational neglect is really, truly not wanting your kid to get an education, preventing it. But if you're struggling and therefore, because you're struggling, you can't get your kid to school or your kid's not going to school,
right, that's not
fucking neglect. That's not neglect. Anyways, there was educational neglect in there. But the crazy part is they took the kids from the school where she had enrolled the kids in school. And then it gets even crazier. So we're in court, and here's the whole thing. Kids weren't doing awesome in school when they were with their mom. They were struggling with poverty, struggling with homelessness. But they did worse. Their Lexile scores, their standardized scores, were worse in foster care. The two years that I had this case, their scores were worse. So I'm like, okay, how did we improve their life? Let's think. Housing stability, moved 5 times. Did we improve his life? No, we didn't. Education. Did his education get better? No, he's scoring worse on his standardized. Mental health. No, it's all getting better. Honestly, the kids would have done better if we did nothing. Yet the state spent on this family, I don't know, $300,000-$400,000 probably. and the family, then they reunify the family. They're like, here you go, here's your kids. You're better now. And what do you expect after 2 years of separation?
Yeah.
What do you expect a 12-year-old, how are they going to act to their mom? How are they going to act? Let me see. 12-year-old turning almost 13 already starts experiencing like, who am I? Who am I becoming? And starts tension with their parents. Are they going to trust their parents? Are you going to have conflict with your parents? Kids are wetting their bed. We return kids with very little aftercare. Sometimes there is aftercare, but it's useless. So, and then you know what the kids, you have kids wetting their beds, kids acting out because they just experienced a lot of trauma. You just move them around as if they're cattle. Like we move kids around as if they're like, you can't even move a dog around like that without a dog losing their mind. Like we move kids around like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like
a flock of sheep.
Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like you're just like, as if they don't have feelings. Like we move, like they're not human. Like they're just, I don't know, like dolls.
Like it's like a box in the attic that you just can't find the right spot for. So you're just like, all right, we'll shove it in that corner. And
like they're machines without feelings and relationships. I'm sorry. You just moved a kid from one place to another. Even if, there were challenging circumstances, as long as the family loved them, let's help them. Let's help them address those challenges. But the problem is, it's not that the child welfare system doesn't want to help them address these challenges, right? There's tons of good people that work in there. It's not that they don't. People don't get into child welfare. It's low paid. There's people like me, right? There's no gratitude, but there's good people, right? Getting into the child welfare system. They want to help people. And they end up in a system that does very little good. And so they leave, a lot of them. Some of them try to stay and change it. Some of them try to stay and do the little good that they can do. But they leave because the system is not structured to help people. It's structured to separate families. That's what it's structured. So when people are like, there's a whole movement, it's an abolitionist movement where they're like, abolish the child welfare system. I'm okay taking it down and rebuilding it in a way where we structure the money, the Title IV funding that I was talking about, federal funding, so that it's geared towards keeping families together. Like you said, it shouldn't be that way, that if you have a loving mom, that we would spend $100,000 a year to keep kids in a stranger's home who don't love them under government care, where we know it's the worst type of care you can get,
right? Where
we couldn't help the mom with housing with that money. And the reason we can't help the mom with housing with that money is because the Title IV federal funding won't pay for that. So the people who work in the system are also being hijacked by the system. Like they're also victims of the system. They are victims of the system as well. And so you see high rates of PTSD. You see high turnover. I mean, I feel bad for every single person. They might love their job, but I feel bad for them because I don't know how you can find maybe you celebrate those little wins, but you work within a system that's not geared towards helping people, that's geared towards this bureaucratic maze, checking off boxes, and not really doing the work that needs to be done to keep kids safe. Keep kids safe. Not only, that's another thing. We're not good at keeping kids safe. We don't even keep kids safe. Like even the fundamental basic thing we're supposed to be doing, we're not even good at keeping kids safe. And we're not good at keeping kids safe because the system's so overflowed with children and families, millions and millions churning through the system. 22-year-olds investigating families who don't have their own kids, who just got out of college, making $45,000, $50,000 a year, who can't even afford their own housing, and who don't last over a year or a year and a half. I mean, that's like,
yeah.
What do we expect?
Wow.
And so that's why Together with Families exists. So we exist to prevent foster care, to work in relationship and in collaboration with families, with the families who are impacted by the system and with the families that we serve. So I don't believe in lording over people and telling them the solutions for their lives. We work together as partners and as a team to help solve the issues that they're facing, because I'm not an expert on your life, Logan. Like, I can't come into your family and come into your life and kind of look around and be like, this is what needs to happen and this is what needs to happen and this was, because I have no idea. You're the expert on your life. But I can use my professional expertise if we work as a team to find solutions to the issues that you're facing. And so that's what we do with our families. So we have several different programs at Together with Families. We just opened up a Family Resource Center, our hub, right here in Cobb County off of Sandy Plains Road. We're always looking for donations, supplies, baby supplies, hygiene, cleaning supplies, food for our families. You can go to www.together-families.org. So www.together-families.org, or on Facebook, find us Together with Families, and we post needs of our families, and you can see the different ways that you can just help. So we're always looking for volunteers in our hub and our resource center. Fold clothes. We have children's clothes for our children. Fold clothes, put them away. Baby supplies, like I said, all of those different things that we give out to families. In addition to that, we provide financial assistance for families to help move them from a place of crisis to a place of stability. And we have coaches and navigators that work with families to help them not only navigate out of the crisis, but also build those skills that they need and they want in order to maintain stability. So like I said, we never say goodbye. Our families who are experiencing a crisis and are referred to us by the schools or by the Division of Family Children Services, they're served with a coach, working with a coach, partnering with a coach, meeting weekly with their coach for up to about 6 months. And if they came to us when they were experiencing homelessness, that coach is helping them get to a place where they have stable housing, where they understand credit, where they have a good job that can pay for the housing. So it's really this one-on-one personalized support that each family needs, using coaching, using navigation, accessing those resources. So another thing that we do is we work to build an ecosystem within our community, within Cobb County. So we have great partners like the Center for Family Resources, Must Ministries is a partner, an amazing partner, Simple Needs Georgia. If you don't know them and you have furniture that you want to donate, they are absolutely incredible. They will furnish the homes of our families who are moving out of homelessness. So we have a lot of partners in the community. Spire EDU, which is in Atlanta, they help our families with computers and computer skills. We couldn't do this work without our partners. So we work to build this ecosystem. So if you are a business, whether you have haircuts, you're an auto shop, anything, we want to partner with you so that you can provide your services and your supports to our families. One huge supporter, Chris Bundrick with Christian Brothers, Town Lake in Ackworth. We're giving away a car tomorrow. That is a normal thing for us. So if you have a car you would like to donate, you can contact me. Should I just give my number out here?
If you want to, email,
sure.
Anything. Yeah.
All of Cobb County knows my number.
All right, there you go.
It's so funny. Like, yeah, it's like the 911 hotline. But you can call me 678-644-1916. I feel like this is an infomercial. Call me at 678-644-1916 and give me your stuff. No, or I have a better. Partner with us. Work with us. There
we go. That's better. That's a better catchphrase.
It's getting late.
That's all right.
Partner with us. We want to partner with you. You know, if you have a car you want to donate, we'll take it. We'll provide you a tax receipt. And we'll give it to a family that's in need in our community. And so tomorrow we have that. We're giving away a car.
That's incredible.
With Chris Bundrick at Christian Brothers Automotive. And we're super excited. And we've given away over 12 cars already. Because community members like you have donated their cars, gotten a tax deduction. Christian Brothers makes sure the car is ready to go, fixes anything that needs to be fixed. And then we have an awesome ceremony, and a parent or a couple and a family who is experiencing homelessness, who needs this transportation, who's done the hard work to get better or do better, gets this car and it moves them forward. Our parents who have gotten cars have turned out to be leaders. So they're a part of our organization. Many of them have ended up, even one of them is on our board.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Our goal is to create parent leaders. So this program, the programs that we have that support families from getting from a place of crisis to a place of calm and a place of stability, these programs, they exist. But then after that, we have opportunities for parents to develop leadership skills and then also to give back. So we have a fellowship program that's funded by the Annie E. Casey Foundation. And it's really a workforce development program that we've developed with our parents. And it trains parent allies and also design team members. And so a parent ally, you might understand what that means. It's a peer mentor. It's a 9-month fellowship and it's a training. We're halfway into it. They're matched with another parent. And then the design team is more of learning project management, design thinking, and they help us with our individual projects. They work on projects from inception to completion, and they help us designing and program improvement for all of our programs. So like I said, we don't believe in imposing solutions on community. We believe in working in collaboration with community to come up with solutions.
My God.
Yeah, we're awesome. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we're awesome. Every day I look at us, I'm like, we're awesome. We also have, I'm going to tell you what makes us really, really awesome. Our families make us really, really awesome. Every time I look at our families, I'm like, I cannot believe we just got you as a family. Oh my gosh, we have this single dad who we have the privilege of helping. Like every single one of our families, I'm like, wow, we have the privilege of getting to know you and helping you. Single dad, oh my gosh, his stories came from really rough background. And, he had gone to prison, finds out he has a kid, gets his kid, and really struggling to make it, ends up homeless. Well, within 3 weeks, he gets into housing in our program. He had been depressed because he had been homeless. But let me tell you, this guy is remarkable because while he was homeless, he was still taking his daughter, who is like a top tennis player, to academy tennis and paying for it because he refused for her not to have the same opportunities as other kids. Wow. So he's coming in, with, I don't know, his older car while everybody drives their nice cars, get their, this is East Cobb area.
Yeah.
And, everybody has their nice things. Their kids are eating a good meal before tennis, and she's, they're experiencing homelessness, and he's making sure. And we had an anonymous funder or donor who's paying for her to go to this huge competition in Florida now.
Amazing.
Where she's going to be the flag bearer for the United States.
Wow, that's incredible.
And this dad, this is for his daughter.
What a guy.
So we had another parent, story after story. We had another parent. She was experiencing homelessness. Her story is insane. So she had a blood clot. The mom has a blood clot, ends up in the hospital for 5 months. Her 14-year-old daughter, and I'm allowed to share the story Sunday, her 14-year-old daughter, she's trying to navigate going to school by herself while her mom's in the hospital. Well, they lose their housing, end up in their car. Their car breaks down. They end up sleeping in their car in January, in the winter. It's cold, with blankets, with no way to crank it up and turn on the heat. And this girl, this 14-year-old girl, 15-year-old girl now, she's walking to school from her car where it broke down. They're eating an egg and splitting it between them because people are like, oh, well, what about all these food banks? You have to fucking get to a food bank.
Yeah.
Like you have to get to a food bank. And the mom is ill and the daughter's going to school. And so we worked with the community, but we helped support this family. And guess where the crazy part about this story, why I'm like every single day, I'm just like, wow, we get to help this person. Like this person's amazing. Here's the thing. I know that the people we help are sometimes can be better people than me. Like I just recognize them. I was just like, dang, you just didn't have as much opportunities. Like, let me give you some opportunities and see what you do with that.
Right.
And this girl is phenomenal. Totally would never have been able to do what she did. I don't know. I would have crumbled. But she calls me. This is, we find them in this car. We get a referral from Defects. They're in this car. They hadn't eaten. They're hungry. We get them a hotel, get them some food. And this was like a Thursday. And she calls me on Friday and she said, hi, Miss Sarah, I'm sorry to bother you. And I was like, yeah. She's like, I have the ACT tomorrow. Can you get me an Uber to go to Pope High School to take the ACT at 8:00? And I remember, because I like to cry. And I just started sobbing because I'm like, I remember how my daughter took the ACT.
Right.
And prepared her.
Yeah.
Good night's sleep, lots of food, lots of preparation, paid for tutors.
Sure.
And here she's been sleeping in her car, walking to school. No way she has the same opportunities as my kid, right? No way, but she's pushing. And so I get her the Uber. She goes there. Well, you know what? She's in school in North Carolina now. North Carolina, I think it's North Carolina, and got a full ride.
No shit.
No shit. So like when
Good for her.
when I say
Incredible.
she wants to be a doctor, she's going to be a doctor, not wants to be a doctor.
Wow.
She wants to be an OBGYN.
Wow.
She's going to be an OBGYN. And then for me, it's like I get to be like in my head because I would never, be out loud. You know, when she's this big OBGYN, be
You're like, wow.
I knew her and I got to play a tiny little piece in her story.
Yeah.
I'm a really lucky person.
I'd say so.
Exactly. And family after family after family after family. I'm telling you, it's crazy what happens when you give people the support and help they need and opportunities who just needed that. They've been trying, but nobody came in. And they've been grinding, but nobody came in and gave them the support they needed. People judge them. And then you say, you don't have to have shame. There's no shame in your situation. Here's the opportunity for you to get out. And it's amazing to see what people do. And so, every day I'm just grateful that I get to meet the people that I meet and I get to serve the families that I serve. They're the only reason I do this. They're the only reason I do this. And they're my favorite part about this job.
Wow. Good Lord. You know what's ironic, Sarah, is that before we started recording, I told you that you should use the restroom in case you have to go.
Need to go pee?
I need to go so bad. Can I go?
Is it this? Yeah, but you have to give me another one. No,
do you want another one?
Okay, sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Entertain the people if you want to.
Okay, are they here?
Yeah, they're still here.
Oh,
They're still
okay.
rolling.
Oh, do you want me to tell you a joke? Now I'm put on the spot. I don't even know. Let me think of a joke. I don't have a joke for you, actually. I'm just going to reply to my message.
Oh, this is the strong one.
Oh, I really like this. This is really good. But how much sugar does it have?
Oh, I don't know. I don't look at that shit.
Oh, I'm going to
Clearly.
look down.
I probably should look at it.
It doesn't say.
It doesn't?
No. But I don't care at this point because it's really good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
That one is. This is a...
Oh, what? I'll have to try that next. I'll buy some. But
goodness
they should
gracious.
be supporters of Together with Families too.
Hey, maybe they will be.
Yeah.
Damn.
I could be on an ad.
Could be.
Yeah.
Model status.
I mean, I could try. I've never been a model, but
I mean, you were a model this week or whenever those photos were taken.
Those are awesome. Those are so much
They
fun.
are amazing headshots.
Yeah, I was like, that's what I wanted to be a rebel rock star executive director. So I asked Andrew McCorkle if you need any headshots. He's absolutely awesome. I asked him I was like, I need a rebel rock star like photo shoot.
Yeah.
And so that's what he gave to me. And I wanted it on the streets of Atlanta because as a backdrop, just because that's where everything started for me with the youth that I was working with. And so they're a part of the story. And I mean, I miss them too. I miss working there too. I miss working in Atlanta.
So I'm curious. So with co-founder of this organization, Together with Families, and as co-executive director, what's your long-term goal for it or long-term vision?
Okay, awesome.
For the organization? And how, I mean, you've got a ton of really great partners already. How do you expand that?
Okay, so you always can expand partners. Like everyone can be our partner. There's a place for everyone to contribute and to do something to help our community, and they can do it through us. So first of all, second of all, the goal for the organization is for us to be an example to others of what's possible and how you can prevent child welfare involvement, prevent foster care, help uplift families so that they can be a part of the solution and create this kind of ripple effect where families are helping families and creating these parent leaders. So we want to be an example, but I would just hope that the state of Georgia one day would write in legislation and we would have family resource centers exactly like ours, all over Georgia. And we could shrink the Division of Family and Children Services so we can be the front door. There are kids who do need to be in foster care, but most kids don't need to be in foster care. We have about 400,000 kids in foster care right now, and most of them don't need to be there.
In Georgia?
No, thank God, not in Georgia.
I was about to say, holy fuck.
You're like, all the kids are in foster care.
I was about to be like, good God almighty.
Kids living with their family.
Jesus, I don't even know the population of Georgia, but I just assumed it's more than 400,000.
No, anyways. No, that is nationally. In Georgia, I need to check, but I think it was around 11. thousand. But here's
We're
the
pretty
thing.
high up there, aren't we? Isn't Georgia also? I know foster care is. Wow. Yeah. Not even going to make that
Georgia does a pretty good job at trying to keep kids in their home. Except the problem is like I said, the we're kind of strapped in certain areas, which is Title IV funding, federal funding. What should happen is that federal funding should be paying to keep kids within their families and address poverty, because poverty is a driver for foster care. So that's what it should be doing. And instead of paying room and board in a stranger's house, maybe we should consider keeping the kid in the home when a parent loves them and wants to care for them and paying for room and board there. So
you get 2 pages of notes, Sarah.
Oh my gosh, I made it, and I get to be episode 400. I hope episode 400 is the biggest, baddest episode. I'm gonna keep asking you. I'm gonna share it everywhere.
I can't wait, dude. This is so impactful. I mean, it almost makes you want to get emotional about it. Like, I mean, I don't know how you do you cry every day? I mean, I'd cry every day.
So I'm like in the mode of, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? So I'm a problem solver. I'm not somebody who sits around and talks about a problem.
Yeah.
Like I won't do that. What I'll do is be like, okay, what's solutions oriented? I'm always solutions oriented. What's the solution? What's the solution? How can we make this better? But at the end of the night, usually at night, I'll be like, soak it all in. And then I might cry. I'll just be like, damn, that was rough. I can't believe this family went through that. But then it inspires me to do more, because I'm just like, well, if they can survive all that, like I can keep pushing. I can keep fighting. And here's the thing. We want to work with the Division of Family Children Services. Like, they're partners. It's not even them. It's the whole system. It's the way it's created. The people who work in the system, like I said, are hijacked by the same system. And so we need to work together to prevent families from coming into this system, so that there's less families that are impacted by the system, because it has its own special trauma impact. And also work to prevent families who are already being touched by the child welfare system, but their kids aren't removed, to prevent. So we want to partner with the Division of Family Children Services. We want to partner with the state. We are good partners. However, the truth is the truth, and the system is horrible. And so one day somebody on Capitol Hill or a bunch of somebodies need to figure out, hey, the system doesn't work. Separating children from families, the way the system operates, we need to completely restructure it and think all the brilliant minds need to come together. They need to destroy the system as it is. And then all the brilliant minds need to come together and say, what are we going to build to keep families together and keep kids safe? And then build that. And then things would be a lot better. You would have a lot less kids in foster care. You would have a lot more families supported. You'd have a lot less crime. You'd have a lot less issues, because we know that when people are experiencing poverty, when people are desperate, they do desperate things. And so, yeah, I mean, prevention is worth, is much better than the shit we're doing now.
So you've got 4 children.
Yes.
One of which is your adopted son. Mm-hmm. Are the other ones birthed from you?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to phrase that.
My neighbor. No, just kidding.
Fun. Okay. What's home life like for you? What kind of mom are you?
Oh, okay. I'm like, what kind of mom? I'm an adventure seeker. So, I'm going to have to tell it on this podcast.
You have to.
So I live in a community, we have an HOA.
Yeah.
And
are you the president of the HOA association?
No, I don't have time for that. But I was on the social committee, and we got our whole neighborhood. Our neighborhood is the most amazing neighborhood, Canterbury neighborhood, because everybody kind of donates and helps together with families.
Amazing.
So they're awesome.
Incredible.
Yeah. The best neighbors in the world. Well, here's the thing. We got chicken eggs and we got duck eggs. And really, you're not supposed to have poultry in a small HOA with a backyard with 0.3 acres. Mm-hmm. But then they hatched. And so we have 3 chickens and we have a duck, in this HOA neighborhood. I don't know if it's allowed or not, but hopefully none of my neighbors are listening.
Yeah, you just exposed yourself.
It's okay.
You're doing a good thing for society.
That's what I feel like my neighbors do. They give me a lot of grace, because they're like, you're doing a good thing for society. You are batshit crazy, but it's okay.
You are literally doing God's work. They can get over a couple chickens.
That's what I feel like. I feel like my neighbors give me grace. They give me a lot of grace. Anyway, so that's the kind of mom I am. I like adventure. So I like taking my kids on an adventure, teaching them things. I'm also the kind of mom who I believe, the way I look at things is I want my kids to be happy. So I'm not going to push them. My kids play the violin. And so we play music together and we make it fun.
Can you play?
Yeah. I play piano and
teach me to play piano.
I can try. Logan, I will in my free time.
In your free time?
Yeah. Maybe like when I retire, Logan.
Does that exist?
No, I don't have free time. So
Yeah.
no, I will never teach you how to play piano.
I'm honored that you're here if you don't have free time.
No, but I can help you learn how to play the piano when I'm retired. Maybe.
Okay.
So let me tell you.
So I've got like 60 years to wait.
No, I want to retire before then. So I love animals. So we're about to get a tarantula. We have a snake. We have 3 dogs.
Okay, hold up. I'm interrupting you. I saw this shit on something today, whether it was Instagram or Facebook Facebook.
Yeah.
And you were like, I'm getting a spider.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, hold on. I'm saving this.
For my kids.
Because your kid wanted a spider.
Yeah.
And you were like, we're going to get him a spider.
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, I'm going to explain. So I grew up, remember that farm in upstate New York till I was 11?
Yeah.
We would catch all sorts of wild animals, snakes, hold them. So I have an affinity to animals and I'm not scared of any animal. So I will pick up any animal, any bug, doesn't matter. Like I like animals and I'm fascinated by them.
I love that.
Because they all look different. So my dream retirement job, Steve Irwin.
The goat?
Yeah. I want to be Steve Irwin, the goat. The woman version.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Is my dream
You'd be
job.
so good at that.
Oh my God. I feel like I could support Together with Families after I'm retired just by being the goat, Steve Irwin.
You could be the biggest donor to Together with Families.
That's what I'm thinking. That is my dream job when I retire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that is. I think I'd die faster than him though.
You have a snake though?
Yeah, of course.
How big is this snake?
I mean, it's not very big. I wish it was a lot bigger.
Really?
It was like this maybe.
I want to hold it.
Yeah. I think animals are fascinating.
I do too. I've always been obsessed.
See, me too.
Always.
I'm obsessed.
Watched Animal Planet for fun when I was a kid.
Me too. And
Dude.
I still watch it for fun.
Really?
Yeah. Logan.
What's on Animal Planet now?
Oh, well, I don't really watch I'll watch documentaries like National Geographic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Documentaries, watch
For
about
sure.
different animals.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Disney Plus spams me with those National Geographic documentaries. You know what show I was obsessed with on Animal Planet was the one with, it was like the countdown one. It was like the epic countdown. And it'd be like top 10 most dangerous animals on land, top 10 most dangerous animals in the ocean, top 10 animal mashups, top 10 animal fights.
My husband, he went swimming with sharks.
Oh God, I should talk to him.
Yeah, my husband's kind of an adventure seeker too. So I love taking it. So I want my kids to be happy. So I'm not the person who, when they're practicing violin, I'm going to like, you need to work like this. I'm going to be like, how do we make this fun? Like, how do you make it enjoyable? So everything you do in life, because you're going to do well the things you enjoy.
Sure.
If you don't enjoy it, you're not going to do well. So find things that you enjoy and then invest in that and find a way to make it fun. So that's what we do with music. My kids play music.
Can you sing?
Not very well. I mean,
in the shower,
in the car. I can sing here, but I don't know how people would perceive that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah, we don't have to do that.
No, we don't.
You need more like 8 more of those good days to start singing
then
here.
I'll start singing for you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe it could be a hit. Kind of like when American Idol, like a blooper.
Hey.
It could be a blooper.
You could be the next Carrie Underwood.
No, like the one who tried to be Carrie Underwood and really
the one
sucked.
who walks in and it's like,
who tried
and the judges are like,
the one who makes everybody laugh because she's so horrible and she doesn't realize it.
The one the producers greenlight just so they could be on TV and get the ratings.
That's what I would be.
Yeah.
Not that good.
They don't even do that anymore. It's they have no ever. The show was around for like 10 years and then they discontinued it and then they brought it back a few years ago. Ever since they brought it back, they don't humiliate people. They don't give people hard criticism. They don't do anything like that.
I don't even watch it anymore, so I don't even know.
I watched the first couple seasons when they brought it back just because
they're very soft now.
So soft.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because with my kids, I want them. This is how my parents raised me. Yeah. We were super independent.
Yeah.
We just did everything for ourselves. Okay. Like my parents would help us.
Sure.
They teach us, but like they believed we were
They'll
capable.
give you the tools, but you can go and build a shed.
So that's how I am with my kids. My kids have been cooking. They cook at least one meal a week, like gourmet. They know how to cook. Because I'm going to teach them how to do everything. I don't make my kids lunches. They make their own lunches. They give me the menu of what they want. They take care of the chickens. I don't even do anything. They have to tell me when they have a sleepover, like, what do we have to do with the chicken? Like, take care of the chickens.
Wow.
So that's how I was raised.
That's
like
awesome.
When I was on a farm, like I was milking a cow at 6 a.m. when I was 8 years old, like having to take the cow out. So I feel like it's created this, it almost creates this entrepreneur kind of idea.
Yeah.
Where you feel like I can do anything.
Self-sufficient.
Yeah. Like I can do anything. So my daughter, I taught her how to do her taxes when she was 18. Like,
that's badass.
So anything I know how to do, I feel like if
Can she do my taxes?
Yeah, probably. So anything I feel like I know how to do, I want my kids to know how to do.
Yeah.
But as soon as they're capable of learning that. So then I don't need to wait. Like I don't need to wait. My kids, I had Eliana when she was 13 years old. She was paying all her medical bills with my credit card. We're like, you need to know how to pay medical bills. Like, just this is your medical bill. Here's my credit card. Call them, pay them.
So your oldest is your daughter, 21.
Super independent, super self-sufficient.
Youngest, how old?
So youngest is 11 and then 12-year-old. And then Jan, who's 21 too. So Eliana, she's a rock star. Like she has like 3 jobs, works full time, pays for everything at UGA, making straight A's. She has an internship. She's
and is she showing any signs of wanting to do similar work, like for giving back?
She's really interested in marketing and PR.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
She did a whole project. I know. I was like, you need to work for us.
For real.
She wants to make money. But I said, we could be your side gig. Hey. But she did a whole project about Together with Families at UGA. So she's incredible. She's like incredible. If we had her doing our marketing and PR, which I'm hoping eventually, yeah, she's brilliant. And she's spending her last semester in Barcelona. But her work ethic, her ability to get shit done, like
you've got to be so proud.
Yeah, I mean, she's amazing. And I had her when I was 19, and this is not my parenting, it's my unparenting. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? I feel like she had to parent herself, but she did a good job.
Her mom was her best friend.
She did.
Was it like to be the young, cool parents though? Well, it's got to be fun.
I was a young, cool parent until she was 9, and then we had 3 other kids added.
Yeah.
So then she was kind of a little bit neglected. Not in the legal term. Please don't try to take my 21-year-old from me.
Yeah.
But like she went from being the only child.
Yeah. I was the oldest, and I had 2 younger siblings.
And then you're like, can we send them back? You know?
Right. Yeah. Can we return these? Yeah. Is there a policy on that?
Yeah. So that's kind of what her world was. So she was like the queen until 9, and then had the siblings come, and we adopted Jan, and then she was very responsible. So she was helping out a lot. Like she did a lot of help. Like she would help with the other kids. And she's just a rock star.
That's amazing. Good for her.
Really lucky.
Big shouts to her.
Yeah. She helped with everything.
I hope she hears this.
Well, I'll have to send it to her.
You should.
Yeah.
Does she know? Do your kids know that? Not just you. I'm sure your husband does amazing things in his field as well. Yeah. But do they know that their mom is a rock star and a badass?
No. They know I'm crazy. Like they are like, Mom, can you be like another? Like they know I'm pretty wild, so they know that. Like So here's the thing: I would take my kids on adventures with me. Like we went in it before we were an official organization. It was just grassroots. There was a mom who needed her house exterminated, and so I'm not scared to take my kids into that environment where there's a bunch of roaches everywhere. So I took my kids, and we're like, we're going to exterminate the house. And I think when I watch my kids versus sometimes kids who their parents haven't given them the same kind of opportunities, I see my kids are like, they just get shit done. They just figure it out. Like they're not scared. Like my 11-year-old, he researched everything. I was like, okay, you want a tarantula? Because I kind of want one too, but I don't want to do the work. So these are all my lazy parenting hacks. Teach your kids how to cook. Teach your kids how to clean. Teach your kids how to do the things.
Yeah, are you making them independent, or are you just lazy?
Both,
Sarah.
Both.
Well, I mean, all of it is going to pay off. I mean, it's already paying off.
Actually doing it out of love for them, because I always think, I'm like, oh gosh, if I died today, like, what do I want my kids to know?
Yeah.
I want them to be independent. I want them to be badasses. I want them to be able to do these things and know, while I'm alive, I always have your back. Like I always have your back, but you don't need me. You don't need me. You can do all this shit yourself. Like you don't need me. And so helping our kids understand that they can do everything themselves. That's what my parents did for me. I mean, I was flying international at 15 years old. They had me leading groups like in the former Soviet Union with a walkie-talkie at like 15 years old.
That's amazing.
I feel like when we don't give our kids these kind of opportunities, and when we try to manage everything for our kids, like, let me tell you, so many parents write their kids' college essays and do all these things for their kids. Oh, yeah. They pay people to write their college.
Bro, if I would have asked my dad to write my college essay, he would have laughed at me.
No, their entrance exam to get into college.
Wow.
Yeah, there's big money. You pay people to get these kids into college, and then they go into college and they flop.
And then they're idiot.
Yeah, well, they flop because they don't know how to do anything themselves. Yeah. They didn't actually do the work themselves. Let me tell you how my daughter got into college. She did everything, all the applications. I said, hey, I'm here to help you, whatever you need. Answer any questions, whatever you need. I'll look over anything, but it's on you.
Yeah.
She applied.
You forge your own path.
Got it. Yeah. But I'm here to help support you. I'm not in the driver's seat.
Right. I'll keep you in the lanes, but you're driving.
You're driving. I'm not driving. And so I think sometimes like that can be a harder path for, it's a little bit of a tougher path. We don't make it easy for our kids, but then our kids are self-sufficient and they don't need us. We don't want kids who need us. We want kids who want to be around us, who love us, but we don't want kids who are 21, 22 years old who are like, I need my parent to do everything for me.
Yeah.
Like my daughter doesn't need me to do anything for her. She hopefully wants my company, right? She wants to hang out with me. She wants to spend time with me, but she's got it. And if she needs my help, she knows who to call.
Is she at the phase yet where I'm at with my parents, where I kind of view my parents more as friends than parents? And it's cool because all my friends think my parents are awesome.
She's only realizing now that I'm kind of cool. It's like, I don't think she realized, but now she's realizing that I'm kind of cool. So I am trying to build that friendship with her.
Yeah.
Where I just want to be like her biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just want to be one of the girls.
Yeah. Well, she's cooler than me. I know that.
For sure.
So I want to be with the cool kids. And so since she's cooler than me, I want to be with her.
Like when I'm like doing stuff with like if we're throwing a party, my friends are like, your parents coming? Your dad coming?
That's awesome.
Because my parents are fun.
Yeah.
And
see, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, that's what I want. That's the kind of relationship I want. And
goals.
She is super cool. Like, who better to hang out with than your own kid?
Yeah.
She's super cool. I want to be her supporter. And I'm so lucky that she put up with me growing up. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't a perfect parent. There were times when I struggled with anxiety and I struggled with depression. And I was like, I wasn't a perfect parent, but love covers a multitude of mistakes. And thank God she's as amazing as she is in spite of us. That's how I feel.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I am in such awe just sitting across from you.
Oh, well, like I said, you should see my kids, all my kids, like even Jan, he's overcome so much. And he's going now to Chattahoochee Tech and working, and they said he couldn't even walk.
I started there.
They said he couldn't even walk. When we adopted him, he wasn't able to walk. They're like, oh, we're not sure he'll ever be able to walk. He walks. They said he wouldn't be able to drive a car. He's working on driving a car. He got his license. So he uses the hand controls. They said he would never graduate high school. People said he graduated high school. So he's a fighter and he's beat all the odds. And the cool thing about Jan is he's very, very compassionate. So he's been through a lot of hell in his life, but he's very kind and compassionate and he's always loving towards people. So I have some of the most awesome kids, some of the most awesome families. And I just feel really lucky that I get to be in the mix.
I love that.
That's how I feel.
Sarah, there comes a point in every interview I do.
That we have to end it?
No.
I didn't finish this.
Well, we're still going.
Okay, no, we can end it.
Where we, that just means you have to shotgun that.
I can shotgun this.
Could you?
Yeah, 100%. I was in Athens for a semester.
Yeah, that's
I was
true.
shotgunning stuff.
There comes a point in every conversation I have where I ask the guest a collection of questions that are the same for everybody.
Okay.
So whether I'm sitting across from Carrie Underwood or a local business owner or, whoever, I'm going to ask them the same collection of questions.
All right.
They're very basic first date questions.
Maybe I should have listened to another podcast before I came on.
Well, funny enough, I'm actually going to, you're going to be a guinea pig for me.
Oh, I love that.
On a couple of questions.
Okay, cool.
Sometimes I'll phase them out. I'll phase them in if they're not working. If people give the same basic answer, like one of the questions was, do you listen to Spotify or Apple?
Spotify.
And that's a good question because people are passionate about that topic.
I'm not passionate.
But the answer is either one or the other. It's never interesting. It'd be like, oh, Starbucks or Dunkin'. Starbucks or Dunkin'. It's a very basic answer.
Right.
So I try to make the questions a little bit more open-ended. Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit about the company that makes your morning drive happen every week. Are you looking to elevate your business and your brand? Hammerhead Creations is here to help. They offer top-tier marketing services, including social media management, website design, and Google page optimization, ensuring your business reaches the right audience. Whether it's a side hustle or your full-time grind, their expert team, me, is ready to help you grow. Plus, if you're into podcasting like me, Hammerhead Creations offers full support for both in-house shows and external podcast creation. From concept to production, we will help you bring your ideas to life. Visit www.hammerheadcreations.com and discover how we can take your business or your podcast or both to the next level. Hammerhead Creations, swim with the big sharks.
Okay.
So number one, what is your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh. You just triggered me because my co-founder on Dell Jones Foster, he knows all the movies and he's a movie buff, and I don't even have a TV in my house. I do have a projector in the
You
basement.
don't have a TV in your house?
No.
Really?
I do have internet. Don't worry.
You have no TV?
No TV.
Really?
I have a projector in the basement, but no TV. So he always is making fun of me. Poor me. But he's always talking about the fact because he knows all these movies and he's like a movie buff and he loves movies. But it's not that I don't love movies. It's that I'm always moving. Yeah. And I always feel like I have something to do.
Yeah, picturing you in the same spot for 2 hours, besides with me.
Yeah. But you're so much fun.
Hey.
That's what I'm saying. Like
a movie's not going to talk back to you.
Exactly. And another thing is what happens is I sit and watch a movie. This is what happens, Logan, every single time. And I'm sitting and I fall asleep.
Yep.
Because I've been moving. Like,
is that how you know you're getting old? When you sit on the couch and you're starting a TV show or a new episode? No.
I feel like you just said I was old.
That's how I know I'm getting older. How about that?
You're like in your 20s, just with a beard.
But we'll start a show. Last night we started another episode of this show we're watching, and within like 15 minutes, I was like, "Can we go to bed?"
Yeah, I feel like so. I don't have.
So tired.
I never had a TV.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, tell me.
I just love experiencing the natural world and things around me. And so I felt like when we had a TV, we were just flipping channels and it wasn't intentional.
So you had a TV. You got rid of it.
When we first got married, we had a TV, got rid of it right away. It wasn't intentional. And so now we have a projector in the basement. If we want to watch Netflix or a movie, it's intentional. It's like, I'm going to go down and go watch.
Right. It's not just something that's on.
Right. It's not just something that's on because there's so much other things going. I mean, in my house, so last night, my kids like, they'll build a raccoon trap or they're innovating all the time.
I want to come to your house and not do anything. I just want to sit and watch.
It's like a zoo.
I just want to watch and just observe.
Yeah. So we have wildlife and your
children
family
are
wildlife. No, really. My family, like my kids are really like wildlife kind of. I mean, they are wild, but they smart and innovative and they don't, like I said, it's really cool to watch them because they really don't. They're like, oh, we got this. We buy IKEA furniture and they will build it.
That's incredible.
We'll pay them to they like it.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, they know how to use the tools, the drill. I just don't understand.
Your kids are animals.
But
no pun intended.
I don't understand why you wouldn't teach your kids to do these things.
100%.
They're going to need them.
Yeah.
They're going to need these things. Like, why wouldn't you? My kids, they have plenty of time. They run around. So instead of watching TV.
Do your kids know how to hang shit in the wall?
Yeah, everything.
Can I hire?
Yes. Actually, so let me tell you another thing. My younger kids, they go on the belt line and they play the violin on the belt line. And one time they made like $200 in an hour.
Nice.
Yeah, but what we make them do is they get to keep half the money. So I teach my kids to panhandle, but it's not really panhandling. I feel like I
don't even know what that means.
You don't know what panhandling?
Panhandling.
Like begging.
Oh.
But they're not real beggars. No, really they're offering a service to the community, which is their violin.
Playing music. Yep.
And the community is paying them.
Sure.
But what we do, which is really, really cool, is half of the money they have to give to anybody who's experiencing homelessness on the street. And so my kids, you should see their face light up. Like they'll go, in Atlanta, and we'll be on the Beltline, and we'll find people who are experiencing homelessness around, and they'll give them cash. Just hand it to them. I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, you buy drugs or alcohol. Let me tell you something. You buy drugs or alcohol. No, I'm just kidding. But people don't like people. This is the crazy part. We'll hand somebody money who is listening to them, who's experiencing homelessness. You could tell they have their bags. And so many times they'll be like, no, kids, you keep it. You earned it. Somebody who's homeless.
Yeah.
And I can say what I've experienced. Desperate people do desperate things. But when you bring out the good in people, dang, there's a lot of good in people who have experienced a lot of suffering.
Yeah, that's true. Next up, what was your first ever job?
Oh my
First job ever.
My first ever job. Okay, this is funny. You talked about modeling. So this is my first ever job. So I was like, I want quick money. People say I'm cute. I'm going to go to a modeling agency in Colorado when I was 17. I'm going to see if I can model. So I go to the modeling agency, and I'm like a big mouth, annoying, obnoxious person that I am. And they give me a call back. And they're like, hey, we really want to meet with you a second time. I was like, yeah, I'm gorgeous. Like, I got this. Like, oh my God, I got this job. And they're like, yeah, we want to meet with you. And they're like, they sit me down. They're like, we want you to work with us. And I was like, okay, we want you to work with us cold calling people.
I thought you were about to say something crazy like,
No,
we want you to
they
be...
don't want me to model. They want me to use like my gift of gab to influence people to come
and buy shit.
Like that was like, so I was like, all right, how much am I going to make? Like they did not want me to model.
Wow.
They just want me to use
And you did it.
Yeah, because I was like, all right, fine. Maybe then I'll get a modeling gig, and never got the modeling gig.
Wow.
But they did like the gift of gab. Then I quit that job and I worked for Clean Water Action.
Wow.
So my next job was a door knocker, and I was the best door knocker. So I would knock on doors for Clean Water Action. I would raise money. At the time, it was Christine Todd Whitman. She was the head of the EPA, and we were working to like get the amount of arsenic in the water reduced. It was in Colorado, and we were raising money. And yeah, I usually would raise most of my money. This is what I would do. This was my thing, Logan. Put your foot right in the door. So can you imagine opening the door to me? I'm like, hello, I'm Sarah Winograd. I'm with Clean Water Action. Your water's dirty. Like, like we're going to clean it up. And then people are like, no, thanks. Like,
yeah.
So that, cause
you're just like,
they're
stop.
like, I have other stuff. I'm like, put my foot there. I'm like, well, everybody has change, like in a change drawer or in a junk drawer or under your couch. Could you go check and just get me some change? Because I figured if I could get a little bit of money from every single house that I was hitting, and then a lot of money from a few houses, it would be enough. And that's what I did. People would be like, they're so scared of me. They're like, okay. I was like, you have to have change, like under your couch, dollar bills. Like, I'll take anything. And they just gave me money to leave.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And then some people would write big checks.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was like my first fundraising experience.
That's badass.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
Rank these three things in order of your favorite to least favorite.
Okay.
Queso, guac, and salsa.
Guac, queso, salsa.
All right. Good answer. Good answer. Sarah, if you found out that tonight was your last night on Earth.
Oh, I finished this.
Sorry.
Wait, on Earth, where am I going to go?
Well,
Mars?
Tomorrow.
With Elon? No?
I'll go anywhere Elon wants me to go.
I'll go anywhere Elon wants me to go. Can you go with me?
Yeah.
He's a good looking dude.
He is a good looking dude.
He's smart.
Very smart.
I mean, my husband's better, but but if Elon asked me to go to Mars with him, I might go.
Yeah.
Sorry, honey.
If tomorrow was your last day, what would your last meal tonight be?
I wouldn't eat anything. I'd be so sick to my stomach. I'd be like, I wouldn't be eating. Sorry. All right. But if I really had to eat something, what would I eat? Protein shake. I don't know what I would eat. I wouldn't eat anything. I would be sick. Be like, tomorrow's my last day. And I'd be worried about that. I'd overthink it. And then I'd die.
Well, that's tragic. Sarah, you get to organize a music festival for yourself.
Oh, wow.
Who are your 3 headliners?
Oh, my kids. All of my kids would be my headliners.
True.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that was easy.
Damn.
Next.
Easy question.
Yeah.
On a day, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but on a day, let's say Let's say your husband's got the kids.
Okay.
You have no work.
Okay.
How do you take care of yourself? A self-care day for Sarah. What's it look like?
Go help a family. I'm just kidding.
That's all the time we have, folks.
Self-care. Okay, I started to take care of myself.
Yeah.
It's like was my not really a New Year's resolution, but kind of like I need to take care of. I need to fall in love with myself. So
Sure.
I go to Celebrate Recovery. Another thing, I really like foot massages. I don't know. I'd go to get a foot massage.
Okay.
Yeah. That you don't like that answer? You liked the queso guac and salsa, and all of a sudden the foot massage is bullshit.
I don't know why my face said that I didn't like it, but I thought it.
Oh, that sucks.
What is?
I would go to Atlanta and go to a strip bar and hang out.
All right.
Is that better?
That's fine.
Okay, no. Well, what is the good answer?
I don't know. My face. Sometimes I don't control everything.
I would not do that. Gosh.
No
please.
strip clubs.
No.
Sarah, what does success look like to you?
Oh gosh, that's actually a really easy answer. Success would be my kids are happy, my kids are healthy, the families we serve are happy, but ultimately with the organization, it would be the system changes and that we have people on the Capitol Hill who transform our system from a system that separates families to try to keep kids safe, that invests in keeping families together. So systemic change, because it's unbelievable that we're spending so many tax dollars hurting families when we could be helping them.
It's very well put. These next two are my guinea pig questions that I'm testing.
Okay, I'm so excited.
What's something nobody knows about you?
Oh.
That they're about to?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. That's really hard. Something that nobody knows. I say a lot of things about me.
Or maybe very little people know that you're about to tell me.
I really like to exterminate roaches and clean dirty things.
I know a company that needs some people.
If I lose my job after this, we could do that. No, it's really crazy. So I realized that there was a family that years ago that needed their house exterminated. And I learned everything I could about roaches' behavior. And I was really good at exterminating it when nobody else could, when there's these really big roach infestations. So I feel like I have a niche. So I might start an extermination business. And then the next thing is like, I just like seeing projects completed. So if you see a bunch of roaches everywhere, and then 2 weeks later, you don't see any roaches, like that gives me a lot of satisfaction. That was easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, wow.
You would have loved the first apartment I moved into after I moved out of my parents' house.
What, roach apartment?
It was just like, it was backed up to the Chattahoochee forest.
Oh.
And we just had bugs no matter how much we cleaned.
Did you have rats?
No rats, thank God.
Okay.
God, if we had rats, I would have been out. But we had roaches and people hated it.
You should have called me.
I should have.
Yeah. Well,
Didn't know you. That was in like 2019.
The number I just shared, you could use that. I could start. I really do think.
You could.
Okay, Logan.
Can I make your website for you?
Yeah. I'm going to make a prediction. You know how to build websites?
I do.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
You build a website? Is that like a side gig?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I run the social media too. I'll go head to head with your daughter.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Do you have a website for our morning drive?
It's in progress.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to tell you this. Let's do this. Let me do this prediction. In 5 years, I will have my own extermination business.
No shit.
And we'll hire our parents.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because I feel like I have a niche. Like I think I do that better than anybody in Georgia.
All right. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be just a conglomerate extermination company. Just uber successful.
Bugs. Yeah.
Because you know who hates bugs? Most people.
Yeah. And we're going to be uber sick because we can get rid of bugs in a way because we care about making sure your house doesn't have any bugs.
Okay. Love that answer.
I'm just saying that. And then we would hire parents. It'd be a way for them to have a job, have income.
I don't like this next word I'm going to use, but everybody has a different answer for this.
Okay.
But what triggers you?
What triggers me? Ooh, I can tell you what triggers me.
Hit me.
Do anything that offends or hurts the families that I serve, I'll fuck you up.
All right, that's a good answer.
That's pretty much, that's the truth.
A couple more. These are not guinea pig questions. Mm-hmm. What's your biggest fear?
Oh gosh. Well, I used to like fear a bunch of different things, but then I started Celebrate Recovery and really don't fear. I can say right now, I don't know if I have any real fears, really. Like I've worked through all my fears, every single one of them.
That's amazing.
So
Super inspiring.
I used to fear failure, used to fear like flying, that I have panic attack on the plane, because I had some panic attacks on the plane after my grandma died. But I had this, so I have this crazy thing in my head where anything that holds me back, like I want to conquer it. So any weakness. I've been that way since I'm a little kid. So it's just like I had fears. I'm like, okay, those are things I have to conquer. And so I don't know that I fear. I mean, obviously, like, I don't want my kids to die.
Sure.
I don't want families, but I don't fear it.
Sure.
Because it's out of my control.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best to try to keep everyone alive.
And then lastly, Sarah, the last question I have for you. Hit me.
That we will not be the #1 podcast.
That's a good fear.
That's my biggest fear right now.
Well, you know what? We'll make it that.
Okay. We're going to make it. We're going to work really hard.
Yeah. It's going to be another job.
Yeah. It'll be like my part-time job, like extermination.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just add it to the list.
Yeah, of things I'll do in my when I'm looking for wellness.
Lastly, Sarah, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
So, crazy thing is, when I was like 19 and 20 years old, I always wanted to be in politics. Like, I wanted to be a Secretary of State. I wanted to be in Congress. In 10 years, you said? 10 to 20?
Years. Yeah, 10 years.
So I do think we'll be the most impactful foster care diversion program. And maybe we'll be rebuilding a whole new child welfare system, and I'll get to play a part of that, whether it's through politics or on the side. But I feel like I'll be wherever I'm most needed.
I've always said that I could see a future of myself in politics as well. Yeah. From a young age, I was like, I'll be in politics.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I was like, it's really dirty.
Yeah.
And, it gets people, but I could see myself if I'm needed there, because I feel like the systemic change is what needs to happen. Like,
there's only one place to do it.
Yeah.
Sarah, now I'm going to let you look to the people as if you haven't enough already and advertise. Tell people how to find you, where to find you, tell them about the organization and all of it.
So we want your help to prevent children from entering into foster care and for keeping kids with their families. So find us at www.together-families.org. You can find ways that you can just help. We believe that everybody can do something and everybody needs help sometimes. So whether you are 8 years old and you're listening to this podcast, you probably shouldn't be, or you are 80 years old and you're listening to this podcast, there's something that you can do, and we want to get you plugged in and get you involved. And so please go to our website and check it out. And we really appreciate you and are happy to be a part of this community.
That's amazing. Guys, I'll make sure I'll put that stuff in the description of the episode so that it's easily accessible to you in case you are interested in giving back and participating or working with Sarah in some way, shape, or form. Sarah.
Logan.
This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun for me.
Best night this week. Can I come back?
I'd love to have you back.
Okay. Episode 500?
Okay.
I'm an exterminator.
For real. For real, though. I mean, it was super informative. I hope people hear this and feel some type of way.
Yeah.
And feel empowered enough to get involved and give back. And I just am super honored that you took the time.
No,
you took
Logan,
2 hours of your night to be here.
I've been here all night. You're so fun to talk with.
Well, I appreciate it.
Can we just come back and I can verbally process with you?
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
So just thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
For sure. Thanks for making episode 400 amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for helping to make my evening one of the most amazing evenings this week. Maybe even this month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks,
amazing.
Logan. Yeah. That is amazing. That's why I said it's amazing.
Guys, again, I will throw her information in the description of the episode so that you can get in touch if you are interested. Like I said at the top, thank you for all of the love and the support over the past several years, 400 episodes. I'm super humbled and just super appreciative, and just not enough thanks in the world can be given. So I just thank you for being here with me and enjoying this as much as I have been. So again, follow along on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and subscribe on your platform of choice. We'll see you guys next time.